Warning: the fanfic you are listening to may be disturbing for viewers. Viewer description is advised. Ah, I'm sorry. Woo! Alright, alright. Hello. Hello, say you, and hello, Yuri. Bro, I'm not gonna get this started. Yeah, we'll just see about that. But for now, sit back and enjoy the fanfic. Warning: the fanfic you are listening to may be disturbing for viewers. Viewer description is advised. Careful what you wish for, but kidney crayon. The summary: Gens 1 through 4 of VNU were prepared for the holiday of a lifetime at Hello Land, only to end up in the hellish death game. Chapter 1. Clouds rolled listless in front of the afternoon sun. A cold breeze pushed the last of the park's guests homeward. The holidays have ended for normal folk, but for the demons of Helloland, they just started. It has been a miracle. A week where all 14 members of VNU has coincident time off. The logistic this of getting the 10 non-demon members to the remote theme park has caused many sleepless nights. In the in the preceding weeks. But that was in the past now. Everyone has gathered by Wispy Castle's doorstep. Enchant- Enchanting smiles, hugs, and stories of all kinds. They were, after all, friends from very different walks of life, all across the globe. Leora and Amoria shared fantasies of their hostess greeting them in maid outfits as Lofi munched on a hot dog. She whisked from a on a hot dog. She was from a snack stand. Cocoon tried to desperately to keep Meta from spectering Echo with the recently concocted moan in a jar, whilst Suri and Maeve chuckled at the absurdity of the situation. And just around the corner, Sephra, Seraphi and Sion catch some much needed shut eye, each with their own tailored made eye mask. The atmosphere was perfect. Then the large wooden doors on the castle crate opened, slowly pushed by a pair of small spirits. Everyone's mood rose to even greater heights, while Spectra, DK, Misma, and Zelly raced out to greet everyone. The four spoke with their friends frequently over the past year, but it was the first time they met many of them in person. Zelly slushed over Sion and Seraphi in a great gooey hug, waking both those, though neither could express a grin and return the hug with just as much warmth. DK sprinted in a straight line towards Cocoon's boobs as Misma picked up the of the four bantering members of Oracle in her own bracing-filled embrace, and Spectra glided out to the three on the stairs, giving each a small mug of some sweet-smelling infusion that nobody can remember the name of. Though to their dismay, she wasn't in a maid outfit. The outfit, the atmosphere, was still perfect. The conversation shuffled inside the castle's lobby. As yet more spirits. Oh God, hold on. As yet more spirits heaved the guests' oversized suitcases to their rooms on the upper floor. The sun dropped below the horizon, and will-o-wisps scattered through the castle, lightening every corner, absent of candles or candelabras, with a comfortable glow. Eventually, the 14 made their way to the dinner room when DK unveiled, unveiled, where DK unveiled the great feast she prepared. As culinary expert, she'd taken it upon herself to cater for the group. Complying list of known or potential allergens and surrounding mes- their message histories for any favorite dishes she might have forgotten. Good food and company can't sustain everyone forever, though. As all the night drew on, Cocoon waved a blessing over everyone for pleasant dreams. Then both the guests and hostess, the music and ambience is making my stomach bubble. Ah, I know. Where was I? Oh yeah. Then both the guests and hostess alike made their way to their rooms. Wispy Castle was large, and their room prepared for everyone. Though they were spirits prepared to shift furniture through the walls for anyone not wanting to bunk anyone. They went to have a whole week together after all. In the atmosphere. The atmosphere was perfect. Chapter 2. Spectra awoke to unfamiliar surroundings. Nowhere in Whisper Castle had they beige plaster ceilings, nor cold. Okay, I ain't really good with this. Nor cold fluorescent lighting, and certainly not uncomfortable vinyl bedding. But in trust, she was less concerned with the decor that how anyone could have moved her as she slipped. She was a ghost. She naturally turned corporeal when she wasn't concentrating, and she could hardly concentrate when asleep. Time to leave. She phased through the rooms, sole doors into a hallway lined with 13 other identical doors. Seven were already swinging open, as familiar faces gathered through together to see if anyone knew what was going on. One by one, Leora Suri, naive, sounds like an, I don't know, sterling music? Huh, I guess that counts. All asked each other the same question. No one had an answer. Tia, Tia, Flora has spoken Spectra and called her by her nickname. Tia, what's all this? Spectra floated over the group. She hoped to have a grasp on the situation before being called out, and eventually considered stalling. to get a read out to get a read on the situation before making people uneasy. No idea. I'm just as confused as you are. She decided there was no time for lies. If there was something capable of shifting 14 higher capable individuals like this, it was better to be as transparent as possible. If only that meant there was information to be gleaned. Are we in the castle? Maeve needed something, anything. But when Spectra could only give a different variations of, I don't know what's going on either, the ninja also quieted. Where was it? Deciding it'd be best to wake everyone first, the girls separated. Sleepy expressions were replaced by worry, and a few slow wakers had to be given a debrief several times. But eventually, everyone had gathered in the hall. The next step was to map out the surroundings. A large kitchen, packed with food, a public bathroom, showers, and a long furnish with soft cushions, whoops. Whatever this place was, it was well equipped for habitation. It, a bit small for 14 people, but there weren't any signs of how they got there. In fact, there were no exterior doors or windows that could lead outside at all. They were trapped. An hour or two went by before everyone gathered once more. The time in the lounge, they took positioning theories on how they ended up here, but were shut down for one reason or another until a voice heard through an intercom that apparently nobody has noticed earlier. At least half the girls yelled in surprise that it spoke warmed in a way to suggest the speaker wished to stay anonymous. Welcome, girls. Welcome to our special brand of death game. Y'all know each other quite immediately, and I don't want to introduce. So and I don't want an introduction. So we'll skip that. I'm just making to make sure you understand how this place works. Cocoon and Miss muffled Meta and DK before they inevitably yell over the monologue monologue with so little information available. Nothing can afford to be missed. The voice continued uninterrupted. There are three basic rules. Number one, each day and let one of you must die. Less each day, at least one of you must die. If nobody dies, I'll end this game early and at everyone. Rule number two, if all other survivors are aware you've killed, you died. Bloodbath would only favor the conventionally powerful, and this game is nothing if not fair. Each sentence hung in the air. The rules of the game seemed simple, but the subject matter was grim. And of course, rule number three, I'll let the sole survivor go. What other motives could you need, Ray? Right? Do enjoy yourself. Y'all here to have a good time. That is, Siam broke the pause to brief silence with visual agitation. We still don't know how or why we're here. We still don't know how or why we're here, and we don't have our Lagari. My medication's in there. Not an agreement. The tank the Tanuki was the only one who missed her morning tablet. and the stress of the situation wasn't helping. Speaking of Lagach, my phone's gone too. Suri asked her concern to the growing pile. I mean to be checking in each morning. More nods, putting checking in with friends and family aside. An outside line could help them out of this mess. An idea that was also dismissed when Echo reported no return signal from any frequency. A pin. The robot internal clock meant that they could still track time, but that was a small consolation. The mood was far from fine. But before it could boil over, Leora grounded the group once more. Guys, you're some of the most capable person I know. And that hasn't changed just because we don't know where we are. We have food, we have beds, and we have each other. So let's just take one thing at a time. Leora be, being a pillar of the group meant more now than ever, and everyone was thankful for it. She was likely just as stressed as anyone else in the room. But those few words went a long way. Noticing how quiet Zelly has been, she suggested the group getting something to eat. Zelly's eyes lit up. Others soon followed, and everyone shifted into the kitchen. Well, almost everyone. Chapter 3. Nobody saw Sion duck. Oh, nobody saw Sion duck away from the group. She's been leaning by a wall behind the rest of the girls in the lounge, and down, slipped out down to opposite hall, where everyone went to get food. She so badly wanted to believe Leora would lead them all to safety, or at the very least, coordinate coordinate effort to get out. But nerves were getting the better of her. She dashed to the bathroom and vomited into one of the stalls. This was bullshit. She was stressed at the best of times. Now she was in a bad situation with barely any of her countermeasures. Absolute bullshit. She flushed, left the stall, and gave a few words of assurance to the Tanuki. In the bathroom mirror, it was time to be resourceful. Okay, waiting. As a Tanuki, Sion could shapeshift. She enjoyed her humanoid form, finding it to best represent how she wanted to interact with the world. But she could just as easily become an elephant, a bird, a stink, a stink, a skink. And okay, an idea popped into her head. She hated becoming a reptile, lizard less of all, but figured a skink would be able to fit down the drain. It'd be pitch black, wet, and she has to get out before her ectom other Mike blood cold too much. But she'd be out. She'd be out. She could find help for the others, and she'd be out. God, how badly she wanted to get out. Morphine was quite as painless to be less than a minute since deciding on the plan, and Skink Sion had shoot down the pipe. Skinks are fast, but a skink when set somewhere to be is even faster. There was no fragment of light in the pipes, so she tasted the air frequently, flickering her tongue out as reptiles are wont to do. Left, right, run, down, left, run. Finally, she shoot out the end of the pipe, transforming back into a human as soon as she had the room to stretch. There was no warmth. Her body began to freeze before she could register what was happening. There was no pursuit. She swelled hideously, like a pufferfish, as boiling fluid tried and failed to escape their fleshy anchor. There was no light. Sion Hart died, frozen, distended, suffocated, and she saw nothing. Chapter 4. Wait, where's Sion? Moria asked. The 13 in the kitchen paused. It has been mere minutes since they were in the lounge, and some hadn't even reached the food storage. But of course, it didn't take long to realize Sion was missing. Forgetting the food, everyone shot off in different directions, calling for their beloved Tanuki. No luck. There was no way of knowing she made it outside, nor was he entailed, but Meta has wanted to assume the best. She must have escaped. Sionheart does it again. Even if doubt was still fresh in everyone's mind, the proclamation lifted spirits. If Sion had escaped in this quickly, then he must be able to get out too. Leora softly tugged Mikta towards her and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. If Sion already made it out, she must be getting help. I'm sure none of us want to be here any longer than we need to. She patted the small witch on the back. So how about we stage a breakout in the meantime? Cheers and grins showed everyone's approval for letting Meta destroy stuff. DK acted as her sous chef as she enchanted and tiled some explosives out on the various food and furnishings on hand. Then Spectra helped the two chefs shift it safely into the lounge, where the whitest wall assumedly pointed outward. It was going to be glorious. The plan. Meta would stay in the lounge to stunning the explosion with Memoria Magica magically shielded them both. Misma would help hold the heavy door to the lounge shut against the explosion to keep everyone else safe outside in the hall. It could have been a perfect plan. It should be. Boom! The explosion shook the building. Those in the hallway stumbled, and even Miss Munt's titanic strength struggles to keep the impact from blowing into the doors. Split second later, and the demoness heard screaming from the other side. Meta and Amoria and Wind, though it now resisted her, she held the door ajar and peeked inside to see the two brace behind a pink, hard light shield. But the hole below in the wall was sucking everyone fading out into a pitch void. Bisma propped herself between doors, which one arm and held out to the other to the magical magicians. The furnitures have already been stuck out into darkness. Now the floor, the pair's shield was accorded to begin the give way. They needed to get out now. Amoria had never let anyone know the hard light was an inseparable part of her. As one look at the weekend floor, with all she needed to know her time was up. She hugged her kohai close. If it's for a good cause, I guess I can kill myself. She grinned slowly as a witch in her arm who looked back at her with tears forming in her eyes. Tsunobi Mini Meta didn't get to finish. Mori launched the girl into Misma's free arm, and the floor gave way. Chapter 5. Everyone was quiet. Then they sat in their rooms or the hall just outside. But everyone mourned. Amore, yeah, was gone. That meant Sion, if she really had made it out, was gone too. It was a vacuum outside, not space, because there were no stars in the inky bench vents. At least the for sure differences has stuck the door close, so nothing else would fly. Lyra has been a pillar of strength through the ordinance thus far, but everyone was quiet. Even she was quiet. She felt responsibility for suggesting something so retrospectively reckless. But his sight is always the clearest. Everyone wept, but none so much as Meta, who screamed into her pillow, said nobody, Amora, surrendered to save her. I killed her. I killed her. She sobbed the words as self-flagellation, tried to atone her what she saw as a sin. Even if her friends were split on the matter, her friends had tried to stop her, but any and all pleas were drowned out by the chant. I killed her, Meta repeated loudly, louder and louder. Kokone jumped up from the hallway outside trying to calm her. Sari and Maeve stood in the doorway, wishing they could do more to ease her suffering. I killed her, Meta shouted. I killed her. Her words rang in everyone's heads, enough to convince anyone left who thought outside otherwise. Rule 2. Execution. Thunder, the voice over intercom. Meta coughed out one last chant, then erupted into flames. The sudden fire startled Kone backwards towards the door, tripping into other and tumbling to the ground. Meta now a living fire. Meta now a living fireball. Shot out soon after ricocheting off the walls, clawing at her rapidly blackening features. She screamed shrill and dry as some ran off in search of vessels to fill with water. Misma, fireproof, reached out to try pulling the fire out by hand. She quickly thought twice when the witch blackened flesh sawed off at the torch. By the time the water buckets arrived, Mekta was a burning husk on the ground. They still dashed the flames however they could, but it was over. At all, all that was Metoshita was muddied ash. They'd been in the place for less than a day, and 3 of the 14 were dead. Chapter 6. Tear stains marked her translucent face as Meta tried to sleep. She was a being of death, but reviled more than anyone. Her very touch killed the unguarded, and she would never be able to hold her friends close with that thought looming over her. Yeah, yet it refused to take Spectra herself. Instead, gnawing away the living she had to come to care about. The little thing was paused by a quiet knock on the room's door. Tia, can I come in? Echo. Spectra loved Echo, a robot inorganic, inorganic, immune to the curse of a torch. But all the warmth and reliability she could want to reflect. Of course, her voice cracked as she sat up. She cleared her throat. She didn't need to apologize. Had Echo's body functioned the same, she too would have been crying. The robot closed the door after her quietly. It was an hour when it grew soon to be late. They were all trying to salvage any rest they could. She sat on the bed beside Spectra and rested her head on the shoulder that solidified the kitchen. They sat in silence. Echo's reactor hummed softly, powering down into a standby mode. Spectra understood none of them wanted to be alone right now. She laid back on the bed, taking care to cradle the robot's head as to not wake her, and fell asleep. When the ghost's breathing had slowed, Echo's reactor spun back up. The robot had originally been purposed for world domination, and her body housed a number of tools to deal with any kind of threat. Tools she continued to refine as V&U. She'd met so many kind of people, just friends, despite being so different. But what if they were rough? Unthinkably out of the question. But it was her purpose to consider such, as she still had the spike, sharp rod enchanted with sun roots, the semblance of undead countermeasures. Ghosts can't be killed in a traditional sense, but shun their mind in front of the form, and they no longer be able to interact with the world. Doomed to drift, people had died, her friends had died, and she served her friends would yet die. Spectra, as dear as she was, ignored any physical barrier, and could kill with a torch. But was the threat enough to justify what she was about to do? That fear echoes procedures worked tirelessly, calculating the demerits, demerits, the margin of error. The spike dropped into the ghost. Hard, solo energy lit the room as it shot through Spectra, burning away whatever instability force can mend into the body. Really enough. Yeah. Brilliant enough to briefly sink its likeness into Echo's optics. As brief enough, she hoped that its brilliance would attract attention. Spectra looked down at herself for a puff in silence. She tried to speak, but she had no word, no voice. She clawed at her body, trying to gather the everything together as it disintegrated, disintegrated, but she had no limbs to gather with. She tried to grab Echo as her why she'd done this, but phased right through had no form to her corporate. She was lost. Sentience without permanence. I'm sorry, Tia. I have to. Echo spoke into the empty room. She didn't know how much of her friends were left. She was glad she didn't.